Hello, hello, hello. We are back again for some more of day 5. So we are just gonna knock the rest of day 5 out in this video, God willing. Oh, well, hold on. Day 5 of what, you say? Okay, well, welcome. This is Rush to Judgment with Jessica, and I'm Jessica. So day 5 of the Nicole Nachtman trial. Okay. And had you watched the previous video, you would know that. But if you're new here and this is your first video, I'll explain. I'll catch up just a tad, just a teeny bit. Nicole words. Nicole Nachtman, she is on trial. She is being charged with 2 first-degree murder charges for the murder of her mother and stepfather. She is claiming the insanity defense or self-defense. Don't really know. They originally said insanity, and now they might go self-defense. They might go insanity. I don't know. They're confused. I'm confused. But whatever. We're done with the state. State rested. We're going into the defense. The defense's case in chief. Okay? So now we're on the defense's side. The defense is bitchy. They're 2 bitchy old broads. Okay? Maybe they're just bitchy because they're really passionate. I don't know. But they're really bitchy. I don't know. Okay. The murders originally took place in 2015. The trial was in 2019. We're in 2022. So it's a little old. But I picked it because I like the judge. I like the judge. He's cool. So I picked the trial. There's mental health. I like the judge. It's cool. It's taken me a minute to get through this trial because my motivation is lacking. But there's only, after this day, I think there's only 2 more days, and then the closings and the verdict, and then it's done. So we're committed. We got this. Okay. So, and also just a reminder, I am not an expert. I do not have any legal expertise in any of this thing. I am a plain Jane, regular Joe, just here to offer my commentary, just here to offer my judgmental criticism and opinions on the trial, just here to watch it, open up some line of conversation. Feel free to let me know what you think in the chat. Like, comment, subscribe, all of the good stuff. But most definitely like, comment, and subscribe. Don't mind the nail. A dog broke it when I took her out. She took off and it got stuck in the leash. So, took it all the way off. But okay. So, we are going to continue with day 5 with the defense, and we can listen to the bitchy ladies talk, which makes it more interesting to me because I don't know. All right, let's get her going at it. Put me down here, and then press the play.
Is the defense ready? Yes, Sean. Stay ready. Stay ready.
Bring the jury.
All right, let's bring them in.
Oh, I don't like having this ear in.
Right, the jury.
Makes my ear hurt.
Jury's present, seated. Everyone else ready to see this time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Did anyone have any contact with the case, discuss the case, or do any research related to the case during the break? If so, raise your hand. Let the record reflect there are no hands. Thank you very much. I'll ask the defense to please call your next witness.
Angelica Henwood.
Henry?
Henwood.
Henwick?
Henwood.
Henwood. Third time's the charm.
See, he's the funny judge. I like him. Oh, goodness.
Ms.
Maybe if I
Henwood, good afternoon and welcome. Please come
stop
forward, be sworn, watch your
hitting.
step. Wherever you're comfortable, if you'll face me and raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
That's right.
Thank you. If you'll follow the bailiff around to the ramp that leads up to the witness chair, please watch your step.
Now, I do prefer her
When you get to the chair, go ahead and have a seat,
questioning
make
over
yourself
the other
comfortable.
lady
That
because,
microphone is
I
done.
mean, she's a little less bitchy.
Ms. Holt, you may proceed.
Thank you. Could you state your name for the record and please spell your last name?
Angelica Henwood. Henwood is spelled Henwood.
And what is your
Just
address?
like it
and How are you
sounds.
presently employed?
I work at Raymond James.
And how long have you been employed there?
2.5 years.
And did you attend Florida State University?
Yes.
And could you tell the jury in what years that was?
From fall of 2013 to summer semester of 2015.
A classmate.
And when you first began attending Florida State University, did you live in a dorm or did you live in an apartment?
The first year I lived in a dorm. In the
Do you
second
recall-
year,
I'm sorry. Do you recall the name of the dorm?
Divinity, I believe,
And then you indicated the second year you lived.
in an apartment.
And did you continue to live in an apartment until you graduated?
Yes.
And when you first moved in, did you have any assistance in moving in?
For the dorm, no. For the apartment, yes.
And
Oh,
during the
well,
time
see,
period that you were there, what was the
her
major that
people
you were
didn't help
studying
her
for?
either.
Business management.
And was that the degree you actually received from Florida State University?
Yes.
Before you went to Florida State University, did you and your family talk about, I'm going to go to college, here's what I want to study, things like that?
Yes.
And did anyone direct you in terms of what you should major in school at all?
No, my family was just happy I was going to college.
Did you choose your own major?
Yes.
And did you have any long-term plan of what you wanted to do with your major, or you just chose what you thought you might be interested in?
I knew I wanted to work in business, and I figured I'd find my way once I was in a business environment.
During the time period that you were at Florida State University, did you meet an individual by the name of Laura Hessmer?
Yes.
And you recall when that was?
The day I moved into my apartment, she was a random roommate assignment.
And so you all actually lived together in your apartments?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury what that apartment setup was like?
It was 4 individual bedrooms with bathrooms and then a shared communal living space.
And did you
Like
continue
they
to be
had on the
roommates
Saved
until
by
you
the Bell.
graduated?
Yes.
And would you consider
Oh
Laura
my
to be a
God.
good friend?
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, are you going to be a bridesmaid in Laura's wedding?
Yes.
And
Aw.
during the time period that you were living at Florida State University, did you date or
That's
anything of that
nice.
sort?
I was actually married.
And during the time period that you
Oh.
and Laura were friends and living together, do you know whether or not Laura dated and had social activities?
Yes, she had a boyfriend named Jeff who is now her fiance.
And did Laura and Jeff spend time with you there at the apartment as well as away from the apartment?
Yes.
And did y'all participate in social activities together?
Yes. Festivals and shopping and hanging out at the pool and that kind of thing.
Did you, as a result of your friendship and living with Laura in the apartment, have occasion to meet an individual by the name of Nicole Nachtman?
Yes.
And do you recall about when that was?
It was right after we moved in, maybe about September. I believe that Nicole was in a class with Laura, so she would, come over and hang out with us.
And that would have been September of what year?
2014.
And could you look around the courtroom to see if you see the individual that you knew as Nicole Nachtman? And if you can, just share a piece of clothing or something that you see.
She's wearing like a green pullover.
The record might reflect that the defendant's been identified, Judge.
Record just over that.
And did you consider yourself to be friends with Nicole Nachtman?
Yes, general friends.
The same type of friendship that you had with Laura?
No, me and Laura were like super close. We talked about everything. Nicole was more of a let's hang out when we have the ability to.
Did you ever meet any individuals that Nicole Nachtman hung out with or considered friends other than yourself and Laura?
No.
Did you have the other 2 individuals that lived within your apartment? Did they become friends with Nicole?
Oh no, we weren't even friends with them.
All right, so you had a good relationship with Laura, one of your roommates, and then the other 2 roommates, that was just not
Not a good situation.
in consideration, but you lived and learned how to survive together.
Yeah.
During the time period that you knew Nicole, because you indicated that you met her right around September of 2014, that would have been your fall semester, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any classes with Nicole at all?
No.
Do you know whether or not Laura had any classes with her?
I want to say that they had a class together.
Would you have occasion to see Nicole on campus either in the fall of 2014 or in the spring of 2015?
I don't remember ever running into her on campus.
Whenever you would go out and socialize outside of the apartment that you all lived in and hung out together, when you all go out and do social activities, did Nicole go with you all on those activities?
Yes.
And would you describe for us what your physical observations of Nicole were? And I'm not talking about 5'1" or 100 pounds or something like that. I'm talking about overall physical observations of Nicole.
She was very shy, wore a lot of sweaters, even though it was hot out. She generally just was kind of a self-drawn person. She generally just, kind of was very average.
Just average?
Yes.
Okay. Did you consider her to be an outgoing individual?
No.
Okay. How would you describe that part of her life?
She was very, not just shy, but kind of like overall a sad demeanor, kind of very withdrawn within herself. You kind of had to try and work with her to get a good conversation going.
Did you ever have a conversation with Nicole about how she felt about attending Florida State University and how she felt she fit in?
I don't know about anything sort of with like Florida State itself. I knew she wanted to be in college, but I felt like she wasn't happy with what like her major was and things along that line.
Going to her major, do you have any idea what the major was that she had?
No.
But you said that you didn't think that she was happy. What was your impression of why she had the particular major that she did?
We talked about it and she said that it was something that her mom wanted and chose for her.
Did you encourage Nicole Nachtman in any way to make independent decisions for herself?
Yes, I thought that she should try and study something that I felt she would be happy in college.
Oh, goodness.
And what was Nicole's response and reaction to your suggestion that she make more independent type of decisions?
I feel like she wanted to make sure that she did what her mom wanted her to do.
And you indicated that she would wear sweatshirts when you thought that it was just like too hot outside or something of that sort.
Yes.
Did you get an impression of why it was that Nicole would wear sweatshirts?
She was a little uncomfortable with her body. She was never she wasn't supermodel skinny, but she was a very healthy size. And I felt like for some reason she thought she was overweight.
Oh, no. Okay.
On trying to get her to buy a bigger bra size because her boobs were kind of overbound and we wanted to have her be a little bit more comfortable.
So as a matter of fact, you and Laura tried to help her go and find clothing that would fit her more appropriately in terms of her undergarments. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, did you ever notice whether or not Nicole was the type of person who would take good care of her hygiene, for instance?
No, she often kind of had like a BO type smell. And you could tell like maybe her clothes hadn't been washed. She consistently wore the same sweater a lot.
And did you, well, let me ask you this. Do you have personal knowledge of whether or not Laura Hesmer also made those same types of observations?
Yes, we would often mention like, hey, if you need to use our shower while you're staying the night, or if you need to, wash your clothes or whatever, we have that available. In the dorms, it wasn't always easy to do laundry, and we tried to kind of make it seem like she was welcome to do that at our house.
And how did Nicole Nachtman respond to your suggestions for either, hey, you can use our shower or you can use our laundry?
She kind of brushed it off and said, she'd think about it. I've never seen her do any laundry or anything along those lines.
What about in terms of how she kept herself in terms of makeup or hair or things of that sort?
She was rather against makeup at the one time that I did mention it. And she was actually kind of like had a kind of a greasier appearance. Her hair was kind of greasy.
Did you, as a result, well, let's try that. Did there come a time where you noticed that Nicole was coming over maybe and spending a little bit more time in your apartment than just coming and hanging?
Usually the weekends were the big time. Football games on campus required her to park in a separate garage. So just to avoid any confusion, she'd park at our place and spend the night for a few days.
Well, she would come in and stay with you on the weekends, especially during football season. You said to avoid confusion. Was that about where to park her car?
Yes, you would be towed if you parked your car in the wrong garage.
And had she in fact had her car towed because she had parked inappropriately?
Yes.
And when she would come and park at your apartment.
So when they sat there and said she had to have instructions on where to park her
She'd come over
car,
the night before the football game, and then went before school started
it
again.
made
on
it
Monday.
sound like
would
she had
go
to
back
have
to
so
campus.
much
Did you and or
instruction.
Laura attempt to show Nicole where she could properly park to avoid the back and forth of the car?
We made a few offers, but she made it seem like she was happier just having fun with us on the weekends, so we didn't really push it.
Did you ever, let me ask you this, did you have a kitchen in your shared area?
Yes.
And did y'all sometimes cook in there,
Yes.
hang out together and have dinner or something of that sort?
Yes.
Did you notice whether or not Nicole had any culinary skills?
No, I never noticed her cooking anything, and maybe like, grabbing some chips or heating something up in the microwave would have been the extent of it.
Was it your impression that Nicole knew how to cook, or was it just that she preferred not to?
I never got the impression that she knew how to cook.
Did you have an impression on how Nicole interacted in terms of going to school or anything of that sort? Was she going to all her classes?
I wasn't sure if she was going to all her classes, but I did know that she had to go to school in fall semester her ROTC program.
And so in the fall, she was in the ROTC program, and you had personal knowledge that she was in that, correct?
Yes.
Matter of fact, you had a friend that was also in the program. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you learn that Nicole did not have that same opportunity in the spring of 2015?
Yes.
And you had personal knowledge of that, not only from Nicole, but also from your friend? Is that
Yes.
correct? And do you have any knowledge of why Nicole was not able to stay in that program?
I know some of the leadership in ROTC was concerned about her, skills in accomplishing tasks. I also know from Nicole that she mentioned, her grades might have
Wait,
been.
hold on, hold on.
No,
Don't testify to what Nicole told you.
Oh.
So only what you observed.
Okay.
So there was a concern about her leadership, is that correct?
Yes.
And what about in terms of your observations of the type of hours that Nicole would keep? When would she sleep? When would she be awake?
She was definitely a night owl,
And when would she sleep?
usually during the day.
And you would notice that even on the weekends?
Yes, especially on the weekends.
Especially on the weekends. Okay, and what did you notice in terms of her interest with computers?
She was always on her computer. It seemed like she was writing or maybe chatting with people.
And would that be even during the time period that y'all were having some type of socialization within your apartment?
Her computer would be close by. She wouldn't always have it open, but for the most part, yes.
And what did you learn in terms of Ms. Nachtman's interest in the movie Frozen and a character called Elsa?
She ran like a Tumblr blog that was about Elsa in some form. She ended up dyeing her hair blonde because she wanted to be more like Elsa. It was just a general character obsession.
So you felt that this was kind of a character obsession that she had?
Yes.
And what was your impression about that in terms of the fact that Ms. Nachtman was in college and was an upperclassman at that point? What was your impression?
It was a little strange at first, just the level of the obsession, considering that
People
it
are
was a
obsessed with
children's
anime.
Disney movie. But we tried not to mention it too much, as it made her feel more comfortable in her own skin.
Okay, and I was going to ask you about that. In terms of, for instance, the body odor and the wanting perhaps for her to shower or maybe to wash her clothes, and then in terms of Elsa and Frozen, did you and Laura attempt to gently talk to Ms. Nachtman about those things?
Yes, we did mention it maybe a few times. We tried to be as gentle and polite as possible to try and get her, on the same page as far as what she, like maybe she should try and clean up a little bit, just for her own sanity.
And did there, how would you describe her in terms of her chronological years versus how she had in terms of a demeanor, how she acted with people? So, 18, did she act appropriately? 19, did she act appropriately? She was about 20, 21. How did you think that she was acting?
She had a little bit of a more immature mentality compared to some of the other people. I know she required a lot of help in just getting regular things done on campus and stuff.
And when you say regular things, are you talking about like the day-to-day things that a college student has to do once they're sent away from home?
Yes.
And did you and Laura attempt to help her with those things?
Yes.
And was it still your impression that Ms. Nachtman had difficulty in navigating the normal everyday life of a college student?
Yes.
Did you learn or did you become aware that Ms. Nachtman's grades started to decline at some point in time?
Yes. Over fall semester, I became aware of the fact that her grades were slipping, and that's why she lost her ROTC.
And did you also become aware of Ms. Nachtman changing her actual grades for the purposes of showing them to someone else?
Yes.
And who was it that she was changing the grades for?
Her mother.
And did you have an impression of why Ms. Nachtman was changing her grades in order to show, and let me ask it this way, was she changing her grades for the better or for the worse?
To make them appear better.
And did you have an impression of why Ms. Nachtman was making the changes for the better to her grades to show to her mother?
She didn't want to disappoint her mom. That was a big fear for her.
It was a big fear for her? And how would you describe what you perceive to be the relationship that Ms. Nachtman had with her mother?
She was under her mom's thumb. She badly wanted to be approved by her mother, but like she was constantly doing things to make sure that she got her mother's approval.
Was it your impression that Ms. Nachtman was being successful in getting her mother's approval?
No.
And why was that?
Just because of the fact that she continually tried to do things to make sure that her mother didn't find out about anything that she may have been disappointed in.
Did you become aware at some point in time that Ms. Nachtman had either lost or her bike had been stolen?
Yes, she mentioned that she was renting a storage unit for summer semester so that she didn't have to explain the disappearance of her bike to her parents.
And is it true that Ms. Nachtman didn't know whether she had lost it or had been stolen?
Correct.
That's based on your conversation with Ms. Nachtman?
She wasn't even sure where she had left it.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Did you have an impression as to whether or not Ms. Nachtman was anxious in any way in how
Was
she
she
interacted
drunk?
with her mother?
I wasn't sure about any sort of anxiety, more so that she just seemed like she wasn't happy to go home for the summer semester.
So she did not seem to be happy to go back home like most of the other college students were.
Right. We were asking her, like, hey, what do you plan on doing for the summer? You should come visit us. And she just mentioned that it may have not been a possibility.
Did Ms. Nachtman talk about other family members, such as a brother?
Yes, that was her best friend, she said.
Did she talk to you about her other family, such as her uncles and her grandmother?
Just her grandmother.
And was it your impression that she had a good relationship with her grandmother?
Yes.
Did you ever have occasion to overhear phone calls between Ms. Nachtman and her mother at all?
No, I never heard any phone calls.
With regards to Ms. Nachtman's use of the computer, were there occasions where you would come into a room and see Ms. Nachtman verbally engaging with her computer?
Yes, so she wouldn't stay in our rooms when she stayed the night. She usually used like the couch in the living room area, and she'd be up all night on the computer. Sometimes she'd be kind of mumbling, wasn't sure what she was saying. It was kind of nonsense.
So you don't know if she was talking to the computer or if she was talking in a chat room, for instance.
No, it just seemed like she was trying to plan out maybe what she was trying to say, something along those lines.
But whatever she was saying didn't seem to make sense to you in terms of the words that were being spoken.
Right.
Did you ever ask Ms. Nachtman about what she was doing at the time?
Usually it was her Elsa blog.
And so you knew what it was and you just weren't going to inquire about what she was mumbling about.
Right.
Did you also come to learn about what one of the reasons was why Ms. Nachtman wanted to spend the weekends away from her dorm?
I know she wasn't a big fan of her roommates. They didn't include her in on a lot of things.
Do you have any personal knowledge of whether or not Ms. Nachtman was sent money by her mother or anything like that while she was in school?
No.
Do you have any personal knowledge of whether or not her mother is who purchased, whether it be her computer or her car or anything like that?
No.
Well, she did. How else do you think she got it?
Was it your general impression that Ms. Nachtman, you had to handle conflict in any way whatsoever?
No, she wasn't a confrontational person whatsoever.
I think, as a matter of fact, I think in the past you described her as docile.
Yes.
Docile? Probably
And was it your
docile.
impression that her fear and or her desire to please her mother were true emotions that she was feeling?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people
Nothing
have
further at this moment.
the urge to
Good afternoon.
please.
Ms. Nachtman was someone to you who appeared very sheltered. Is that correct?
Yes.
She's also someone who appeared that she wanted easy answers.
Yes.
Didn't want to have to spend a lot of time trying to figure things out.
Yes.
Like the parking situation. She didn't want to have to try and figure out what garage to go to. It was just easier to park at your apartment.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier on that when you moved into your dorm,
Why?
Nachtman's biggest fear was disappointing her mom. Is that right?
Yes.
Her mom disapproving of the things that she did.
Yes.
This bike that they asked you about and that she rented a storage unit so that she didn't have to tell her mom that she lost her bike. You stated, I believe, that she didn't know whether the bike was stolen or whether she lost it. She had no idea. Is that right?
Right. No recollection of where she may have left it, so she didn't even know how to go look for it.
Okay. And so she rented a storage unit to try and cover it up
Yes.
so that she didn't have to tell her mom the truth about whatever happened with the bike that she didn't even know.
Yes.
Well, maybe her mom would get mad at her because of stuff like that. Because she would like do stuff for her and then she'd be like, you fucking lost your bike and you don't even know where you lost it. You're 21 years old. Why are you losing your bike?
The renting of the storage unit.
Maybe her
cover
mom
up
just didn't really
what had
know
happened
what
with
was
the
wrong.
bike was because Ms. Nachtman feared the repercussions of her mother. Could I ask the question first?
Well, hold on. Yeah, let her finish the question, but please don't leave it.
Yes, Judge.
Can I finish the
The
question first?
cover-up of
No,
the
if you're
bicycle and
leading
rental of the
her,
storage unit.
you may not.
I think the state asked you, was it because she was afraid that her mother would find out, right?
Yes. She didn't want to disappoint her mother in saying that she had lost or had her bike stolen or didn't know where it was.
And was it your impression that in disappointing her mother, there could be repercussions by her mother for her actions?
The only thing that I can say for sure is that she just didn't want to disappoint her.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am.
May this
Mhm.
witness be excused by the defense
By the defense, yes.
and by the state?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Epstein, you may be excused as a witness at this time.
And Judge, as soon as Ms. Henwood walks past me, I'd like to, at this time, seek to introduce without objection from the state, Defense Exhibit number 8,
No objection, Judge.
It'll be
the transcript of Ms. Nachtman's records at Florida State University.
Record.
You may, let's just put the number on the record. It's
Right.
8. It will be admitted at this time, and yes, you may publish.
Fantastic. Move on. On a snack. I'm hungry. Oh, wrong
Unless you
one.
call your next witness.
George Blair.
George Lane. Mr. Lair, good afternoon and welcome, sir. You'll come forward to be sworn wherever you're comfortable. If you'll face me and raise your right hand, please. Thank you very much. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You follow the bailiff around to the ramp that leads.
Sorry, this one hurts my ear.
That's the witness chair. Please watch your step.
I'm looking for
Get into
new
that chair. Go ahead and have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. That microphone is
headphones.
done. Ms. Holt, you may proceed.
Who's this guy?
Thank you, Judge. If you would state your name for the record, please,
George Lehr,
and spell your last name, please.
Lehr.
And Mr. Lair, where do you live? What is the address?
Um,
And are you employed, sir?
yes,
And where are you employed?
at the VA hospital.
And what do you do there?
I work as a microbiologist.
And just very
A
briefly, what is
BA?
your education?
Oh,
I got a BS in microbiology,
And what school did you go to?
USF,
And you recall what year you graduated?
1980, 84.
And, I'm sorry,
83 or 84.
and are you married, sir?
Yes,
long
And do
time
you have any
ago.
children?
no children.
Oh,
And if I could just ask you, do you know an individual
Maybe
by the name of
personal
Nicole
choice.
Nachtman?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know Nicole Nachtman?
She's my niece.
And if you would, just look around the courtroom for a minute and see if you can identify Nicole and tell me a piece of clothing she's wearing.
She's wearing a sweater.
What color sweater?
It's like green or like, olive green.
Record may reflect the identification, Your Honor.
Record shall so reflect.
And were you
it shall
related
so reflect.
to Nicole's mother?
Yes, I'm the brother.
Okay, you were Miriam's brother, correct?
Yes,
Was there a nickname that you all called Miriam?
Bali.
All right, and
Who?
how many siblings in total are there?
6 of us.
Okay, tell me in order from the oldest to the youngest.
Albert, Artie, me, Peter behind me, and then Bali, my sister, and then Eric,
So you're basically right in the middle.
right in the middle.
And if you could, just starting again at the oldest, what was the age difference between the 6 siblings?
Let's see,
As best
between me and them.
As best as you recall.
Okay, my oldest brother is 3 years older than me. The next one is 2 years older, year and a half older than me. And the one behind me is a little over a year behind me. Miriam was like 3 years behind me. Yeah, 3 years behind me. And then Eric was like, I think he's like 6 years or 7 years behind me.
And so there were 5 boys and 1 girl, Miriam, correct?
Yes,
And your mother's name is also Miriam, is that correct?
yes.
And she's still living.
That's
She's
weird.
still-
And how about your father?
He's passed away.
And about how long ago was that?
I'm sorry, one of the jurors is having a little trouble hearing you. If you can get just a little closer to the microphone, you'll know when it amplifies your voice. You'll be able to tell.
My father passed away in 2001.
And with regards to right now, today, in 2019, what siblings are you close to?
I'm kind of close to all of them, really.
Okay. Is there anyone that you don't speak to?
I speak to all of them.
Okay. Anyone that doesn't speak to you in terms of your siblings?
Oh, no, I speak to all of them.
Is there a nephew or anything, or nieces or anything that you don't speak to? Or that they don't speak to you?
Well, it's possible that they don't speak to me,
Okay, who
but
would
I
that
never
be?
hear from Joey. I don't hear from him. David, don't hear from him either.
All right, so are you talking about Joey Carey?
Joey Carrier.
And that would be Miriam's son also, correct?
Yes,
And how long has it been since you hear from Joey?
The last time I spoke to him is on the death of my sister during the wake, and after that, never heard from him.
And what about David?
Oh.
Whose son is David?
David is Peter's son, and I haven't heard from him in a long time.
And
I
that's
did visit him one time at Peter's home, and we just kind of like said hello, and that was it.
Now, how far away do you live from the residence that your mom lives at?
About 4 miles away.
How often do you see your mother?
I go there 3 or 4 times a week to just pass through, if anything.
And do you talk to her when you haven't been visiting?
Yes, I call her on the phone sometimes. Yes.
Now, when you were growing up, were any of the siblings closer to each other?
We're about the same, all of us.
And how did Miriam feel about being the only girl growing up among 5 boys?
She wanted to be like one of us. She didn't understand why she couldn't do the same things that we did.
And she tried pretty much to keep up with the boys as much as she could?
Oh yes.
And what was the only difference? So she could really keep up with you all physically, but were there differences that your parents let the boys do that they wouldn't let the girls do?
Oh yeah, we went and got jobs, packing groceries at the commissary, and
If you need to take a few minutes, please do so.
she wanted to work, but she was too young, and she was a little young girl, and she couldn't understand why she couldn't get a job like the rest of us.
And about how old were you when you first started working?
About in the commissary, I was like 14 years old.
And did you grow up the majority of your life here in Tampa, Florida?
At this stage, yes, I've been here quite a bit, but in later years. I've been here since 2001, but I did come here in 1975 with my dad, and I went to school, and then I went to work in other places like Chicago and Arkansas and Mississippi, due to my job.
Were you born here in Florida?
No,
Where were you born?
Beaufort, South Carolina,
And what did your father do for a living?
mechanic.
And was anyone in the military at all while you were growing up?
My dad was in the military when we were growing up.
And he was a mechanic in the military,
Uh,
or was that afterwards?
that was afterwards.
When you were growing up and your father was in the military, did there come times when he had to leave the family?
Oh, yes, every time I sent him overseas, like Vietnam and any place that we pack up and go to my mom's home.
Okay, when you say we would pack up and we'd go to my mom's home, we would be who? The siblings?
Oh, my brothers and sister and my mom,
Okay, and you say you go to your mom's home, what would be your mom's home?
Puerto Rico.
And so y'all would go where there were other family members?
Yes,
Now, did your mom go to college?
yes, she sure did.
Well, legal basis? Well, it's sustained.
And did there come a time where you had occasion to meet Miriam's first husband, Joseph Carey Sr.?
Yes, I met him when they were dating.
And when they were dating, where was Miriam living?
She was living at home,
Well, living in what state?
here in Florida,
Okay, and she met Joseph Carey Sr. while y'all were living here in Florida.
right here in Florida, yes.
And do you recall how long they dated before they married?
Oh, I think they might have dated for a couple of years.
Approach.
During the time period that Miriam was married with Joseph Carey Sr., did you ever have any personal discussions with Miriam about their relationship at all? Don't tell me anything that anybody said, but were there ever any discussions?
No,
Did there come a time then when you learned that Miriam was pregnant by an individual by the name of Ron Nachtman?
yes,
And did you ever meet Ron Nachtman?
no,
At the time that your sister became pregnant by Ron Nachtman, was she still going through a divorce with Joseph Carey Sr., to the best of your knowledge?
yes,
And at the time that your sister became pregnant with by Ron Nachtman, both Joey Carey and Kevin Carey were living either with their mother or sometimes here in Florida with the family, correct?
that's correct.
Let me ask you a little bit about Kevin and Joey Carey Sr. Before Nicole was born, would you have occasion to see Joey and Kevin, whether it be in Texas or any other place, Florida?
Yes,
And would that be because
Junior?
they would visit the family?
yes, they were visited.
And did you sometimes go visit your sister where she was living?
I went to visit her in Virginia one time.
And was anybody living there with her in terms of either Joey or Kevin or even Nicole?
I believe at the time, Joe was not there. Joe Senior was not there.
No, Joey Jr., I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, he was there. Him and Kevin.
And when you were there visiting at any point in time, you indicated that you never had occasion to meet Ron Nachtman.
That's correct.
When did you first meet Nicole Nachtman, your niece? When did you first meet her?
I met her in Florida when I was visiting my mom on vacation, I believe.
And at the time, where were you living? That would have been in 1994.
94, I believe I was in Arkansas.
And you would have been here visiting your mother in Tampa, correct?
Yes,
And somehow or another, Nicole's also here visiting.
yes.
Do you know under what circumstances Nicole was visiting your mother?
I don't recall, but she was there visiting. That was the first time I saw her there.
Do you recall how old she was?
She was between 6, 7, or 8 years old. 7.
And did you become aware that there had been a custody battle between Ronald Nachtman and your sister over Nicole Nachtman and where she would live and what kind of visitation would occur and things of that sort?
Yes, but I heard about this before I met Nicole.
So you became aware of problems between Miriam and Ronald before Nicole was even born?
Well, no, I heard after she was born.
All right, after she was born, you learned about problems.
Right.
Did you yourself ever personally see any interaction between Ronald Nachtman and Miriam? You said you haven't met him, so you don't know anything personally, correct?
That's correct.
What are you here for?
You were also aware that at some point in time, Miriam married a man by the name of Bob Deans, is that correct?
Yes.
And when did you learn about Bob Deans and
What
Miriam
the
being
fuck?
married?
Well, I don't know the exact date, but it was much later. I can't recall the date.
And at the time that you learned about this, were you aware that Miriam had been dating an individual by the name of Bob Deans?
Yes.
Had you ever met Mr. Deans while Miriam and he were dating?
No, I met him after they were married.
And you met him after you were married. Did you meet him here in Florida or in Virginia?
Here in Florida.
Was that after they moved here from Virginia?
You know, I think they were still in Virginia. They might have been down here visiting.
And you had occasion to meet him?
I met him, yes,
And where did you meet him at?
at my mom's home.
And at the time that you met him, how would you describe Mr. Dean's demeanor?
Oh, he kind of shy and quiet, you know. Yes.
And how would you describe Miriam's demeanor not as a child, as an adult?
She was nice, I guess you'd say. I mean, toward him, you say, or?
Well, I mean, what was her demeanor? You're saying that he was shy, and what was your sister
Oh, my
like?
sister was outgoing.
She was outgoing,
Yes.
and in the observations, the personal observations you ever made between Miriam and Nicole, what type of disciplinarian, how would you describe your sister Miriam as a disciplinarian?
She was tough on Nicole.
She was tough on Nicole? Could you give us an example of what you mean by tough on Nicole?
Well, I can't. Well, like one time, she ran out of gas. You know, that I went to help her get some gas in her car, and she, after I helped her out and get her gas and all that, and she told me don't tell her mom.
Okay, so can I assume from this that the person who runs out of gas is Nicole?
Nicole, right?
And so can I assume that she was old enough to be driving at that point?
Yes, she was. Yes.
Do you know what the legal driving age here in Florida is by any chance?
I believe it's 16.
Okay, so Nicole at least was 16 years of age,
Yes.
and apparently she ran out of gas.
Yes.
And at the time, was her mother living here in Florida?
Yes.
And she called you instead of her mom, is that correct?
Well, she couldn't get a hold of anyone. She called me. Yes.
Okay, she called you, and you helped her get the gas.
Yes.
And then she said to you, please don't tell mom.
Yes.
And what was your impression of why Nicole told you that?
I kind of figured that she would be scolded for it.
She would be what?
Scolded,
Scolded for it?
probably.
At the time, was Nicole working at all?
I don't believe she was working though.
And in terms of when you say that your sister could be tough on Nicole, can you think of other examples where you saw an interaction between Nicole and her mother and the manner in which Nicole was being disciplined?
No other time. I recall.
Did there come a time where you learned that Nicole was living in an apartment here in Tampa while she was still attending Stickles High School?
Yes.
And do you recall how old Nicole was at the time?
I think she was like 17 or 18 years old at the time.
And she was still in high school?
Still in high school.
And at the time, do you know where your sister was?
I believe she was in the military. She was still doing work in the military.
When Nicole was in high school, was your sister already married to Bob Deans?
Yes.
And did you
Perfectly
have
legit
occasion
age
to visit
to
Nicole
live
at that apartment
on
Yes, I
your
did.
own.
on more than one occasion?
More than one occasion, yes.
Were you surprised to learn that Nicole was living there by herself?
Well, yes, she was by herself, and we tried to call over there. My mom too tried to call her, and nobody picked up the phone. So my mom asked me to go there and check on her. So I'd go out there and check on her.
Prior to Nicole living at that apartment by herself, were there any conversations with Miriam about the fact that she was going to have Nicole live by herself? Did she ever talk to the family about that?
No.
Prior to that occasion, had Nicole ever lived with family members here in Tampa while Miriam was away in the service?
She was staying with my mother.
She would stay with your mother?
Yes.
And during the time period that she would stay with your mother, were there other family members that had to help
Are you
your mother? with
grandma
Nicole?
testify?
Yes, me and my brothers would, help her drive her somewhere or whatever she needed to do. To take her out and do something with her, entertainment.
And that would be because your mother doesn't drive, is that
My
correct?
mother doesn't drive, yes.
So you helped not only your mother, but you had to help your mother with Nicole.
Correct, yes.
And did the family object to having to help Nicole and your mother at all, taking care of Nicole?
No, not at all.
Did there come a time where you where you and the family found out that Miriam was going to place or send Nicole to the Air Academy, which is a boarding school?
I was there when they made that decision, yes, when she made that decision to send her over there.
Okay, and when you say she made the decision, are you saying that that was the decision Miriam made?
Miriam, yes.
And did the family agree with that decision?
We didn't agree with that at all.
And why was it that you didn't
I'm
think?
gonna object. Relevance at this point. I'm sorry. Relevance, whether they agreed with Miriam's parenting decisions, I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
Approve.
No, I don't think it was.
Okay, and why was that?
Well, she needed help and all that. There was no one there to help her out if she suddenly needed help.
Okay, at the time, you didn't think Nicole could take care of herself?
I didn't think so.
Okay, and why was that? What was it that you had started to see happening to Nicole during this time period?
Well, one time I drove up there to, she'd come and visit on the weekends, and sometimes we would drive up there, or drive her all the way. And there was one time I drove all the way up there, and we'd be walking around. She'd say hello to these people, and the way we'd return the hello to her.
So you were concerned that she hadn't been able to make friends.
That's correct.
During the entire time that Nicole lived and or visited with your mother, and you yourself would also be at your mother's, did you ever see Nicole with any friends at your mother's house?
No, not really.
Who was the only person of Nicole's age that Nicole had interaction with when she was living with your mother and with the family?
As far as friends goes,
Friend or a family member?
well, my brother would take her out with my nephew, and they'd go and do some things together sometimes.
So your brother would take her places with the nephew, and his name is?
Hunter.
And that would be the only person of her own age that she would have interactions with for social activities, if I'm hearing you correctly?
That's correct.
Did you also learn of a time where Nicole had a computer incident that happened to her?
Oh, yes.
And tell us about that.
Oh,
And this is something that you yourself know about,
Oh,
correct?
yes, I was there. She had loaned her computer to a friend at school, and her friend didn't return the computer, so she got me and my brothers to go down there to see if we could get the computer back. We all went down there, we knocked on the door. This person was living in a trailer, and we saw the blinds open up, but the girl was in there, and she wouldn't open the door.
Now, had Nicole even tried to get the computer back?
Yes, she did.
And she had been unable to, correct?
That's correct.
And so then she told you all about it.
Told us about it, we went down there. And,
Okay. And did you tell your sister about this incident?
well, she found out after, and she just said, well, I'll just get another computer.
Did there come a time where you saw changes in how Nicole interacted with the family around whenever y'all were hanging out together? Did there come a time where you saw changes in her?
Well, yes, she'd just come into the door, wouldn't say hello to anyone, just go back in the room by herself back there. And there were times where I saw she was out there in the wee hours in the room back there, just on her computer or what. And I've heard her talking to herself back there on several occasions. I'd open up the door and she was just talking to herself, having like it was another person who was in there.
Okay, and you would hear her, she was talking loud enough that you would hear it, and you would go open the door because you wanted to
Yes,
figure out what was going on?
what's going on?
Now, do you know whether or not it's possible if she was talking to somebody on the computer?
Well, no, because I looked in there, she was no phone, no computer,
And so she would just be talking to herself.
talking to herself.
What about her hygiene? What did you start to notice about how she physically looked? About her hair, her clothes, anything like that?
Well, to me, I never got close enough to, proceed anything, but she didn't look like she was very happy with herself. And she looked like, well, I heard that she was trying to lose weight too.
Okay, so don't tell me anything that somebody said to you, but you came to the point where you thought that Nicole Nachtman just wasn't happy with herself.
Exactly.
Did you know her as a young child?
Oh, yes, yes.
Was she happy as a young
Oh,
child?
she was really outgoing. I mean, she got dressed up like a gypsy and all that, and we'd be embarrassed to take her anywhere. We'd be telling her, go put some different clothes on or something, something more normal to us, I guess.
Okay, so she went from being maybe a little eccentric and outgoing
Oh, very outgoing.
to then becoming someone that would just come into the house,
Like,
not say hello, and just like if nobody's there,
She
go to
seems
her
a
room.
little
Almost like a
eccentric
recluse.
with the.
Did you talk about what you were
Also-
seeing with other family members without telling me what anybody said back to you?
well, I just tell my mom sometimes, mention to her, she walks in, doesn't even say hello. That kind of thing.
Did the family talk among themselves about the things they were starting to see without telling me what those things were? Did you start to talk among yourselves about what was going on with Nicole?
Well, I didn't really talk with anyone about anything really, to tell you the truth.
Only your mother?
Only my mother.
Did you talk to Nicole about her getting ready to go to college?
No,
Did you know about whether or not what she was studying in college or anything of that sort?
I didn't know exactly what she was studying, but I knew she was going to go to college.
Now, when Nicole graduated from Sickles High School, were you living here in Tampa, Florida?
Yes, I was.
Did you attend her high school graduation?
No.
How did you think that Nicole felt in terms of her self-perception? How did she see herself?
I don't think she was very happy with herself.
Did she seem to be somebody that was proud of herself?
No.
Of the things that she accomplished in life at all?
No.
Objection, speculation.
Do you
What
recall
does he know?
observing how Nicole might react to any individual that might try to tease her or something, or have kind of make fun of her at all? Did you ever see how she reacted to that?
Her brother, Kevin, who passed away, he used to pick on her a lot and tease her. It would make her mad.
Okay, she didn't react well to that?
She didn't appreciate that.
To the best of your knowledge,
really appreciates getting made fun of.
were you aware of Nicole undergoing liposuction surgery?
I heard that.
So you were not aware of it personally?
Personally, I was not.
Were you aware of anything to do with LASIK surgery?
No.
Do you yourself have any idea of how many schools Nicole attended throughout her years?
I know at least 3 or 4, at least.
Here in the Tampa area?
Well, Tampa area, the Florida Air School and the Sickles, that's all I know, but I know in Virginia, other places that she lived at, she attended other schools.
And you know there was some number, you're just not sure of all the numbers.
Right, yes.
Did you ever see Miriam hug or kiss Nicole in your presence?
Never.
That's sad.
Did it appear to you, based on what you saw in how Nicole and Miriam interacted, that they had some type of emotional bond whatsoever?
Never.
That's sad.
When you would visit with Nicole at the Air Academy, did she appear to be happy to be there?
No, she was not happy.
You knew that she was not happy.
That's correct.
Did you ever try to talk to Miriam about how unhappy Nicole was at the Air Academy?
No.
To the best of your knowledge, did you ever try to obtain any type of counseling or any type of intervention for Nicole?
No.
Did you ever have a power of attorney for Nicole or a guardianship for Nicole?
No.
Did your sister ever ask you specifically to take care of her daughter?
No.
And that would have been your mother?
Yes.
Anyone else that you're aware of?
Well, as far as like driving her to school and all that and pick her up at that bus stop, that I did those kind of things. So did my brother, Eric. He did that. I just want to say that I only saw Nicole one time with Valley, where they came over to help paint the front of the house, my mom's house, and they were acting kind of jovial, but that was about it.
Okay, so they might be joking around, but you just never saw the kissing, the
No.
hugging, the emotional bond.
No, never.
Now,
Come on.
she did pay for her to go to FSU, correct?
Yes,
And she would pay for her computers, and
Yes.
things like that, correct?
yes.
Some moms don't bond with their kids.
Now, did there come a time when you actually would see that Nicole would try to hide food from people that she was eating?
Yes.
And when did that happen?
At my mom's house,
And do you have any idea why she would do that?
because she didn't want anyone to know that she was sneaking, ice cream bars is what she was going for.
Would you have been mad if she'd have been asking you for ice cream bars?
Oh, no,
Would your mother have been mad?
No.
Do you have any idea who it was that Nicole was trying to hide food from?
maybe she,
Hold on, I'm just standing speculation.
Do you know from your own personal knowledge who was worried about Nicole's weight?
yes,
And who was that?
her mother.
And would you ever describe Nicole as being obese?
No,
It's a very small window for that. She probably was by medical standards.
Were there any occasions other than the one incident that you already talked to me about,
Lots
the
of people
gas,
are, and they
where
don't know
Nicole
that.
indicated, please don't tell mom? Any other incidents that you saw or heard yourself?
well, several occasions she said that to me, but the one I recall the most is the one about the gas. Oh, yeah.
So you heard that on more than one occasion,
Yes,
but time has passed and you can't be specific?
correct.
Did there ever come a time where you would see that Nicole was at your mother's house and y'all were all there spending time together and Nicole would receive a call from your sister?
No,
Did you ever overhear any phone conversations between your sister and Nicole?
no,
Did you have occasion to go to the home on Fensbury that your sister lived at with Bob?
yes,
And on approximately how many occasions have you been to that home prior, obviously, to August of 2015?
I'll say about 5 or 6 times.
And during that time that you were there in that home, would Nicole be engaged with Miriam and Bob and the family?
No,
And where would she be?
she'd be sitting on the couch, looking at a computer or watching some horror movie that they were watching on TV.
That the family was watching on TV, some horror movie?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Did you ever see Bob Deans do anything that could be considered fatherly for Nicole?
Well, I've never seen her hug or kiss or anything like that. No,
Whenever Miriam was out of town for work purposes, where would Nicole stay if she wasn't at FSU most of the time?
I think she'd be visiting my mom, or I think she'd just stay by herself at her mother's place.
Did you ever see Nicole do the daily duties of things like clean a house, mow the lawn,
No.
wash clothes?
No.
Okay, I think that you did see her cook once, is that correct?
Oh, yeah, she invited me over to, she had cooked some steaks up there for me, invited me over to eat.
And how did she do with the steak that she cooked for you?
Well, I thought it was undercooked, so I thought I couldn't eat that.
You told her you couldn't eat it,
Yes,
but she at least tried.
yes, she tried this.
And you indicated as a
I
child, you could see how
mean-
happy Nicole was and how outgoing and dress up, to get kind of attention and stuff like that. You saw Nicole a couple of weeks before what happened in August, correct?
Yes, several days before.
Several days before.
Puppy dog.
And was Nicole still acting in
Puppy.
the same way that you described?
Yes,
Don't you
Not
do it.
engaged with people,
yes. Shy to herself.
to herself, again, with the computer?
Computer, we're watching TV.
Did you have an impression about Miriam and Bob's marriage, of how they got along?
Well, I think my sister ran the whole show there. He did whatever she was told to do. She was very tough on him too.
And that's based on your personal observations for whatever limited time it was, is that correct?
That's correct.
I might have a moment, Judge.
Yeah.
I have nothing further at this time, thank you, sir.
Cross-examination?
Good afternoon, Mr. Laird.
Hello.
Mr. Laird, when it comes to the decision of whether or not to send Ms. Nachtman to the Air Academy, you would agree that that decision should have been done by her mother, correct?
That was done by her mother.
Right. And that's the person who should be making those kind of decisions, correct?
I believe so.
And your personal opinions on whether or not you thought it was a good decision really don't matter, do they?
Well, it'd been nice if she had asked the rest of us, got our opinion about that.
Well, but are you all the ones raising her?
Well, we were helping her raise her. I mean, she was coming over to visit and we were doing things for her.
Now, you described the relationship between Miriam and Nikki. You were
That's
asked
fair.
about that in a deposition. You recall giving a deposition back on June 18th of 2018?
That's correct.
And you recall talking about that paint story
The paint, yes.
when they painted the house, correct?
They were coming over to help paint.
And you indicated that they were having fun together. They were like pals with each other, correct?
Well, I didn't state that, but they were just kind of joking and laughing, stuff like that when they were coming out of the car to help paint.
Judge, I would object, it's improper impeachment at this point. It's not inconsistent with what he said.
I didn't say it was bad.
Well, you're acting like a, sorry.
Approach.
They're not. He's not. It wasn't really.
But we're going to take a break. We're going to finish this with this, and we'll take our afternoon break.
So at the time they came over to paint, just to clear that up, they seemed happy together, correct?
No, they were just laughing about a joke or something.
And would you not agree that they were like pals?
Well, I didn't mean it like they were pals or best buddies or anything like that. But at that very moment, that was the only time I seen them doing that.
You said they seemed jovial.
Then at this point, let me ask you, do you recall giving a deposition back on June 18th of 2018?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And just to refresh your recollection, do you recall when you were asked how the relationship was, you said, your answer was, well, one day they came over to paint the house, and the question was your mom's house. And your answer was, yeah, my mom's house helped paint the front of the house, and Valley was joking and having fun with Nikki. Like they were pals and all that. Do you recall stating that?
Yes.
Fair. How's that an improper impeachment?
Did Nicole ever share any times with you where because you had mentioned earlier today that you thought she might have been scared of her. Did she ever share any times with you where her mom physically abused her at all?
No.
Okay. Did you ever see her mom physically abuse her, pinch her, pull her hair, hit her, anything like that?
All right, Judge, can I approach for a moment? Sure.
Oh, for fuck's sake, lady.
So I'm not sure where we left off. Did you answer that question? Did you ever see any physical abuse to Nicole by your sister?
Objection asked and answered.
I don't know the answer to the question. I heard
I think you have to approach. I don't recall the answer. I'm going to allow him to answer.
No.
He knows what he said. But he got to ask it again because you wanted to object. Cranky old lady.
And earlier today, too, you talked a little bit about the relationship between Bob and Nicole, correct?
Yes.
All right. And would you not agree that the relationship between Bob and Nicole, as far as you knew, was just a typical relationship between a stepfather and a daughter?
Objection as to the form of the question. It assumes facts, not in evidence.
Dear God.
It's overruled.
Did it appear to you to be just a normal relationship between a stepfather and a daughter?
They never had any kind of a lovey-dovey type of relationship, even like hugging and like
Well,
No,
I don't
that's
know
not
what
what he
a normal
asked.
stepfather and
Mr. Lear, let me go back to that deposition that you took on June 18th, 2018. I'm going to ask if you remember this, if this helps refresh your recollection. You were asked, what about Nicole's interaction with Bob? Did you ever see any problems with Bob, or how's the relationship? Your answer was, I thought it was just like a normal relationship between father and the daughter. You know what I mean? She complained a couple of times about him getting her to do chores, but that's about it. Do you recall making that statement?
Yes, I recall that.
Okay.
So, yes. Well, this poor guy, he doesn't know what he said. He doesn't,
Your sister
he's just answering the
grew up in a
questions.
family of boys, right?
Yes.
All right. And you mentioned earlier in your direct that, she wasn't able to do a lot of things you all were able to do.
That's correct.
Do you feel that as a result of that, she wanted her daughter, Nicole Nachtman, to be a more independent person?
I believe so.
Objection, speculation.
And you mentioned earlier also that story about the girl in the computer. From what you're understanding, the minute Miriam found out about the computer, she just went and got Nicole another computer.
Well, that was after the fact, yes.
Yeah, after you all tried to go get it back and you couldn't get it back. And as far as you understood, you told
Well,
Your sister, she gave her another
I
computer, correct?
believe she was afraid to tell her mom. That's why she came to us.
Okay, but when her mom found out what happened,
Well, told me, she just said, I'll just get another computer.
might have a room in
Yes.
So she got her another computer. And in turn, she was probably pissed that she lost her computer.
As it relates to Bob and Miriam, of your own personal knowledge, did any family members go to Miriam and Bob's wedding?
Nope,
Uh,
probably not.
I don't know if anyone did.
Do you know
What's
whether or
wrong
not
with that?
Nicole even went to that wedding?
I believe she was up there living with them at the time.
But
Do you
he
if she actually
doesn't
went
know.
to the wedding though?
No,
From your observations of how Nicole acted around you and your family when she was staying with you, and I want to make the record clear, would Nicole stay with you for long periods of time at your mother's house?
yes, she would.
And she would even stay at your mother's house, even though Bob Dean's home and Miriam's home was just a few miles away, correct?
Yes.
And whenever Nicole needed help, she would call on you or her uncle, not on Bob Dean's and not on Miriam Dean's.
She would only call us, yes.
I got
And it was
some
your impression,
things.
it was because she was afraid of the reactions.
I was afraid, well, I think she was afraid to let even Bob know because Bob was, her mother.
Bob would tell Miriam. And Bob, she
Speculation.
wouldn't call Bob either. She would call her family, correct?
She called me and maybe my brother, my mom.
Did you ever hear Nicole Nachtman talk bad about Bob Dean's? You said the chores,
Mhm.
but she didn't talk bad about him.
Why'd you kill him then?
One time, I believe she called him a jerk or something.
Okay.
Like, you know,
And your sister would say things like that also about Bob,
also,
correct?
yes.
Did you-
marry him?
Did you think
Didn't
that
kill
Nicole looked
No,
at
did-
Bob Dean's as her father?
I don't believe so.
Did you think that she looked at Bob Dean's as her protector in any way in life?
I
No.
don't believe so.
Be done, lady. Be done.
When Miriam sent Nicole to the Air Academy, she was already married to Bob Dean's, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And so Bob Dean's didn't take care of Nicole while Miriam was working overseas. Instead, she sent her to the Air Academy, correct?
Yes.
And she also sent her to her
Was
own
it your
apartment.
impression that Nicole was trying to be the daughter that Miriam wanted?
Speculation.
She did whatever her mom told her to do.
Even as she got older, is that correct?
Yes.
May this witness be excused by the defense
Yes.
and by the state?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may step down. You may be accused as a witness. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, I think that you can use a break. I will let you know for scheduling purposes. It's going to be a relatively short break because we're going to get out of here by 5:30 today. So I assure you of that, and I will tell you not to discuss the case.
Okay, well, I said we would get through the day today, but we're not because the next witness goes into the next day. So we're just gonna put that all together. And that's how that's gonna go. But I have some thoughts on this one because I didn't like how this all went down. First of all, if Nicole stayed with the family for long periods of time, perhaps she stayed with the family for long periods of time because mom was out on assignment because she worked for the military. Correct? Correct. Okay. Could be that. State maybe could have said something like that. I don't know. Maybe Nicole, again, you won't know for real unless you can go back and look through some medical records. Is it going to say that Nicole has a history of these things or can't take care of herself or Miriam ignored all of these things and did nothing and just expected it to go away? Some people do that. And some people just expect the mental health to just go away, just sweep it under the rug, and it'd be fine. That's not how it works. But whatever the case may be, and maybe Robert Deans didn't want Nicole staying at the house while Miriam was away, or Miriam didn't want Nicole staying at the house alone with Robert while she was deployed or on assignment for her job. You don't know. They're not getting into that. The state's not getting into those details specifically. So who knows? I don't know. There's lots of things. So I don't know. I think the state could clear some of that stuff up if that were the case. I don't know. I think it is also disingenuous to say, she moved lots of different schools and did this and that and the third. I mean, think about it. How many people do you know that was in a military family that doesn't have that same background? That they say, well, I'm a military brat. We either lived on base for so long or we moved around a lot. And that's their story. Like, I don't know. So, yeah. So, and the stepdad thing, again, especially when you're coming in later in life with a kid, if you don't have that connection, you don't have that connection. And it doesn't seem like Nicole makes, if she had her family, so she already had her group. She already had her people. So she had the people that she trusted. And if you're going to say, don't tell mom, well, I think Nicole had a lot of moments where she had a lot of issues where it was like, well, don't tell mom that I did this. She's just going to get mad at me, because she had a lot of situations where she was just fucking up all the time. Now, again, was it because she had a lot of issues and couldn't keep her shit together because she had mental health, untreated mental health issues? I don't know. Are we going to hear that from the doctors? I don't know. We'll see. But I know I get irritated at my kid because a lot of the things that they're saying, as far as, well, did you see her cook anything? Did you see him do this? Did you see him do that? Well, my 16-year-old sure the hell can't do those things. Well, he can, but he won't. It's not because I haven't taught him to do it. And, it would be the one, do you know how many phones he's gone through in his, short 5 years of having a phone? He's just now gotten to the point where he's a little bit more responsible with a phone. So it's, understand the frustrations of a parent. And when it's like, don't tell mom. Now, now also, like, did mom have an eating disorder? Is my question. Like, did mom have an eating disorder? So then she projects her obsession with food and body image onto her daughter, because that could be a thing. And projecting it on to Nicole could cause, because I have experience with a thing where the daughter would hide food and things in her room because her mom was so obsessed with what she would eat and those things. Now, not that there was any abuse going on there. It was just the kid wanted food, and the mom is like, you don't need that food. But the kid's like, I want the food. And so it's just unhealthy eating habits. Like I said, not that there was any abuse there, but it's just, so for them to say, well, she wanted the liposuction and this and that and the third, and the LASIK thing, come on. You can offer to get the LASIKs for somebody, and then if they don't want to do it, you could be like, and I honestly, it was either she wanted her to get LASIKs to help her out and say, maybe this will help you feel better about yourself. And then Nicole is just like, no, I don't want it because I don't want shit touching my eye, which girl I get. So I'm sure she wouldn't wear contacts because she didn't want to put shit in her eye. So then her mom's just like, okay, well, it'll be quick and easy. Who knows? I don't know. And, they're not going to. And, some moms just don't connect. There's it's not as common, but some moms don't bond with their kids. Like, it's not, they just don't. They don't have that motherly instinct or that motherly bond or that, whatever it is that, maybe her and her mom didn't have it. Or, it just was different. Who knows? It's a lot of things. And then, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But these cranky bitches right here, this is defense. Objection. And they lose damn near every single one of them. So, whatever. You can put it on record for your appeal. That's fine. Better to object than to not object and have nothing to appeal, I guess. But sit down and shut the fuck up. That's what I want to say. Anyway. Okay. Those are my thoughts. Now, the next couple are going to be, I think, the doctors and things. I think that's what we're getting into. So, there's still quite a bit to go. Yeah. But I know in there's an interrogation video from her. But yeah. But we've got some doctors and some things going on. Let's see. What is up next? What's up next? It's gonna be, I don't know who Eric Lear is. I think that's where the interrogation interview or something comes in. And then we get into a doctor and then another doctor. Oh no, it's the same doctor. And then she testifies for a very long time. And then another doctor, and he testifies for a very long time. And then I think the state goes back in for a rebuttal. And then we get to closing. So, cool. All right. Well, that is all I have for this one. And then we'll get right into the next one. But I'm going to finish this video out right here. And then we'll start on the next one. So join me on the next one. Okay? Okay. Doses.